This podcast was recorded on Gubby Gubby land and pays respects to the elders past, present, and emerging. Hello, welcome to the podcast if this is your first time, or welcome back to the podcast if you are a listener. Today's episode, I'm going to be chatting about why returning to nature is actually the GOAT. And this really falls under the holistic wellness umbrella. And I really just felt called to have this conversation with you. I know I've been a little MIA here on the podcast with a lot going on the last few months. So I am a couple of months pregnant now. Well, I'm actually like halfway through my pregnancy. So that has been consuming a lot of my energy. I've just been really enjoying soaking it in and just not having to like really focus in too much on other things. I've opened up my client calendar last week and had a really busy week seeing all of your beautiful faces, which was just so great. And I'm going to keep my calendar open for a little bit longer and then we'll see how I'm feeling. But yeah, I'm in the works in the background on working on some things that will be able to support you throughout this time that I'm kind of taking a little step back. I'm not stepping away completely and I'm definitely not going to be going anywhere. But I'm just really enjoying this journey from maiden to mother. It's like such a surreal experience and I'm just really grateful that I get this opportunity and just, focusing in on that. But this episode today is not about that. If you want to hear more about my pregnancy journey, I have started a little series called The Pregnancy Diaries, and the first episode is up on YouTube. It's also here on Spotify. So wherever you're listening, or Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening, it's kind of just there. You can go have a listen. That's where I kind of just go into a couple of things regarding my pregnancy, and I've got a couple of others to upload as well. But this episode is going to be, around returning to nature and what nature cure actually is, because I think returning to nature can kind of sometimes be taken in a way of like hippy dippy and like you're not really going to like take it seriously. There's not really like, well, there is, but like maybe you haven't heard the science behind it and it's kind of just a little bit like, maybe it's just easier for me to take some Panadol when I'm getting period pain. And I just wanted to open up that conversation around your wellness and coming back to nature. I wanted to read you a little quote that is written, I think it's out of the Nature Cure book by Henry Lindler, who wrote the book Nature Cure, and he really chats about and is all about, he's gone now, but like he's all about naturopathy and coming back to nature and how nature quite literally heals us and the healing power of nature. So the quote is, "No doctor since the beginning of time has ever cured a patient. No doctor ever will, for nature alone can cure. Physicians are not meant to work wonders or perform miracles. A true physician is a teacher who helps his or her patients work through their problems at all levels. Doctors are meant to use their knowledge of their patients' past illnesses and present conditions to intuit future possibilities for health and establish a healing strategy for the individual. True physicians leave the miracles to nature, offering themselves as channels through which nature can work her magic." And this to me is honestly the philosophy I live by with my clients. I don't ever believe that it's me doing anything magic. It's actually like your body healing itself, and it's bringing the connection back to your own body and the awareness to your own body. I'm always raving on about like self-connection, especially when it comes to healing our relationship to our menstrual cycle, healing painful or irregular periods, and anything under that kind of umbrella of life. I really do believe that coming back to just connection, whether that is connection with self, connection with nature, is like literally going to change your life, and it quite literally does. And coming back to nature is literally the same as coming back to self, because we are one with nature. If you allow yourself to actually like just tune into that and just like be present with that, it is crazy. But what actually is returning to nature, and how is this not just a hippie ritual, and how is this actually something that you can implement into your life without feeling, because I completely get it. I love nature, I love doing all those things, but I also understand the part of self where sometimes it can feel like it's just like, surely this isn't doing anything, and it can kind of have that weird energy around it. So returning to nature is quite literally getting clean air. So getting yourself outside. If you find that you are working indoors all the time, how can you actually just like open up a window and breathe fresh air rather than breathing in the air conditioner? Do you know what I mean? Like, it's little things like this. Maybe you work in an office and you don't have the opportunity to work from home, but could you potentially move your desk to by a window so that you can connect with the natural light and connect with the environment that's outside, or taking your lunch breaks outside in nature? Clean air is actually a really big one. And honestly, I even have an air purifier in my home, and it is literally so good. It clears like all smoke, dust, toxins, all the things out of the air. That is extreme. It doesn't have to be like, you don't have to like have an air purifier. Just clear air outside is like honestly going to do so much for your health. But returning to nature is quite literally that simple. It's like having your morning coffee outside rather than at the table inside without getting the sunlight on your skin. Natural light is a huge thing when it comes to returning to nature. So who doesn't love a cheeky little hot girl sunrise walk, or going and watching the sunset and having a nice little picnic with a friend or your partner? These things are actually returning to nature. Like, these little rituals that might not feel like they're hippy dippy are actually like so supportive for your hormones and your health, and returning to nature to support your body. Because a lot of the time it's stress that is like severely impacting our health. And sometimes it's unconscious stress. Sometimes we don't even realize that we're stressing about something. It might just show up in ways of a painful period or non-ovulation in one cycle, or it could be that you are really struggling to get to sleep, or your shoulders are always tense, or you're clenching your jaw, or you're constipated. Like, all these little weird little things, right, that can show up in our body. Sometimes that's just how our body is showing us that we are holding on to excessive stress that isn't even necessary for us to hold on to. And doing these little rituals of getting outside, supporting your hormones, it's going to actually just really, really help you and clear your mind. Because there is a study, and let me actually just quickly try and find it. Okay, I've found this study. It's not the exact one that I was looking for, but it's a literature review on the role of nature in coping with psychophysiological stress. And I'm not going to read through the whole thing. I've kind of just had a gaze over it, and it is on the same track as what I was kind of looking for, but it's not the exact one, like I said. But I'm going to just read. So there's no conflicts of interest in this, just so you know, like the researcher has declared that. But in the conclusion, it says, given the many benefits from contact with nature, plans for urban settings. And I will just add, was kind of just looking into whether actually like looking at nature and being around nature restores your stress, like restores your health from stress, to support your cognitive abilities and like focus and things like that. So it says, given the many benefits from contact with nature, plans for urban settings should consider the human need for restoration. For this, research must offer practical guidelines for the accessibility and quality of urban green areas. So there's still more research to be done, although it is showing that a well-designed urban landscape can contribute to creating a less stressful day and to providing an opportunity for physical, cognitive, and emotional restoration. Thus, research can help integrate natural elements and structural features into built environments in order to plan urban environments that are cognitive, sustainable, and restorative from mental fatigue and the stresses of urban life. I will leave this below in like the show notes, the actual link to this study, so that you can like all this literature review, so you can actually like read over it for yourself and like go a bit deeper with it. As I said, I kind of just whipped it up in a few moments ago and just had a quick look over it, but it is on the right track of what I was explaining, of how even just looking out your window, like your office window, and looking at nature is going to have a great effect, like positive effect on your health, than not doing so at all. And sometimes it's like little things like this, just little tweaks that are going to really, really support your health in tremendous ways that you're like, holy cows, like I didn't even realize that I was actually feeling so stressed until now. Nature also restores our vital force, and our vital force, known as, in different cultures, it's known as different things. In traditional Chinese medicine, we know it as qi. When our qi, like our vital force, is stagnant or low, we're not going to be feeling good. It's like leaky energy. Like we've all heard of having energy leaks, or when you're just like in that vibe where like maybe you've got a cold, and then because you're sick and you have a flu or a cold, then you're like probably only craving like junk food, and it's like a cascade where like your vibe is just low, like a lower frequency. That is when your chi is like not slay. And then we actually want to have that like higher vibration, and connecting to nature actually like heightens our vibration and allows our vital force to flow and like be of a higher vibration. So an example of this is like if you're in a lower vibration, potentially you are wasting or like leaking your energy on behaviors like hitting snooze 10 times, or like setting 10 alarms and then just like lying there in the mornings like, fuck, I feel like shit. Or maybe it's like scrolling on your phone in the morning in bed, or like before you go to sleep, like things like that, where it's like leaky energy, you know that it's not good, but you just like kind of continue to do it. These things, I know it's like doesn't seem connected to nature, but if you actually start connecting to nature throughout your days and spending time in the sun, spending time outdoors, you're going to probably find that you don't have the motivation to actually continue backing these like poorer habits, because you're changing the behavior to something that's more healthy, that is strengthening your vital force. So that's what we really want to do, is like continue to strengthen your vital force. So this could look like doing a yoga flow of the morning. It could look like reading a book. So like, for example, something that you like love doing is like scrolling on your phone while you're eating. Potentially you now swap out your phone for a book for a little while, and like a book that actually supports you in growing and evolving as a human and learning more things about yourself, or learning more things about health, or like whatever it is that you really enjoy. It could be going for a walk outside. If you're walking on the beach, walk on the beach with no shoes on, soak in those negative ions, because when we're walking on the earth with no shoes on, we are literally absorbing the negative ions, and by absorbing the negative ions, we are lowering inflammation in our body, and inflammation is going to show up by, painful periods, because we want to have lower inflammation when we're on our period. But, there is more inflammation going on in the body because there's obviously a lot more things going on. So if you are constantly wearing shoes, not getting nature, and then you have a painful period, potentially that could be something as well. So like going for a nice gentle walk and not wearing shoes outside. Obviously, like if you're walking on a footpath and stuff, like girl, you do you. I'm not going to judge you for wearing shoes. I wear shoes, but like I'm talking about if you're like walking on the grass, like whatever it is, like allow yourself to actually connect in with the earth. Another way, like I said at the start, is like we are nature, and like there's no separation there. And like for as long as you think there's a separation, or for as long as you, and of course we all have our own philosophy around it, but I guess as long as you kind of separate yourself from nature, you're separating yourself from your highest potential. And a way that I feel is like a really beautiful way to even connecting with nature, connecting with yourself, is being mindful when you are, for example, having your morning chai or your morning cacao, your morning coffee, whatever it is. Like instead of rushing through this process, how could you just take like one deep breath before your first sip and just be like, today I'm grateful for XYZ. That is building connection with yourself. That's building connection with the beautiful drink that you're about to absorb into your body, and everything's energy. So if you're like having it in a stressed way, then it's just like the energy of stress, and it's just going to like continue the cycle. Like just taking that moment of mindfulness is actually like a huge thing, and it's going to shift so much and support you, because it's like connecting to nature. Like I said, we're one with nature, so it's just the same thing but just a different form. And this again is going to strengthen that chi energy, which is what we're really looking for when we're connecting with nature and taking that holistic approach to our wellness, because we are here to live our best lives. And by doing these practices, these things, and finding your own way of doing it, for you maybe it's baking intentionally, or maybe it's like going for a run, not a walk. I don't know, like think of some things that you really enjoy and just being mindful with them, being intentional with them, and allowing yourself to actually take a moment. And like I've said this in so many podcast episodes before, but for as long as you use the excuse of you're too busy, like okay, great, cool. Like we're all busy, we all have a lot going on, but you're focusing on that. And like where your attention goes, energy flows. So for as long as you feel like you have no time or space or capacity to do these things that actually preserve and strengthen your vital force and actually allow you to have more energy, you're just going to be stuck in that cycle. And I guarantee that you probably scroll your phone more than necessary, or, scrolling isn't a bad thing, but it's a bad thing when you're doing it from an avoidant place and you're not taking some of that time to do these like things that are actually supporting you, because a lot of the time, like, your capacity is going to feel like it's in overdrive because there's like a lack of organization, or there's like a lack of doing these things that actually nourish your body. And if you are, like, for example, a mum and you've got kids and there's like a lot going on, make it a family thing. Like, make it a thing that you, like, before dinner, even just like, just all say, like, go around the room and say one thing you're grateful for the day. And of course, new habits, they take time, but like, these are the things that are actually going to compound and create so much change in your body. I feel like I'm going to wrap this episode up now, just how the importance of returning to nature and just connecting with nature, getting some plants around your home, just like things like that are just going to boost your vibe, that are going to support your body, support your health. And holistic health doesn't have to be hard. Holistic health doesn't have to be expensive. Holistic health doesn't have to be any of the stories that maybe you're potentially sold. All it simply is building connection and coming back to yourself and understanding that we're not just treating the problem, we're wanting to look at the entire body as a whole. And by doing some of these things mentioned in this episode, I guarantee it will really support your body, especially if you are facing things around your cycle or your fertility or whatever it is. Connecting to nature is going to be so beneficial for you, especially if you're a stressed girly, because so many girlies are stressed girlies and we don't want to be that way. Let's leave that behind. But I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to go and head over and follow me on Instagram, Sacred Space Tanika Lace. I am over there, and there's like links to my YouTube and everything over there as well. But thank you for your kindness in my little MIA-ness that I've had going on. Like I said at the start of this episode, I'm just really soaking in this transitional time in my life, and it's been really nice to kind of step back from my responsibilities just a little bit to nourish myself and my baby. It's so, so good. So I shall be back in your ears, and I love you so much. And don't forget, if you are someone who is like really seeking space to balance your hormones and take that holistic approach, the episode I uploaded prior to this one, with the seed cycle founder Mel, and it's all about seed cycling. I highly recommend going back and listening to that, because it is an incredible episode and you're going to get so much out of it.